Hi, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had an awesome weekend. Obviously, people thought I disappeared or I checked out. And yeah, you can say that's exactly what I did. This was Masters weekend. And it really started on Wednesday with the par three. That was cool to watch. Always fun to watch it. But no, I had to watch that on the computer from home. But just really had a great weekend. Got to see the Avett Brothers in concert both Friday night and Saturday night. Just had a full weekend. So I didn't have time to really do a recap at the end of the week. And, I was barely able to do the watch list session yesterday morning. I was at the hotel, and then all of a sudden, things messed up. I had it set up before I went to sleep. I know it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but I had it set up. And obviously, when I got ready to do it, nothing worked. But we did get that going. Did get that session done. But we're gonna recap the week. It was pretty much the same thing over and over and over again. It's me getting my mind wrapped around trading in a small account. It's a different mentality, and I got caught up a couple of times, and I figured out later in the week what I needed to do in order to stay on track. And so execution is worship is what I have here, because this is what looks like it's spelled wrong. But we talked about this in the small account program on Thursday, and I kind of shared with you what I felt my issues were, and we talked about an experiment I did with my son and how well that worked out, and actually did it on Friday, did it today, and I mean both days he freaking nailed it. Out traded me. So I know exactly where the disconnect lies now. We also talked about the anatomy of a trade. And this is me. This is the way I look at my trades. There's a scan process that I go through where I identify the stocks that I'm going to trade. There's a planning phase that we talked about, and we're in the execution phase now. We're working on execution. All of the education you get in the world, I don't care how much money you spend on education, if you can't execute, you're not going to make any money. I don't care. There's a lot of brilliant people who can't trade because they can't take the knowledge they have and put it in a plan and execute it. And so that's why we say execution is worship in this industry, because execution is everything. If you can't execute your plan, you're never going to make any money. And then the finished part is dealing with the reflection, going over your trades. This is where the most growth takes place. We're going to be working on that as well, but that's where growth takes place. When you look at what you've done and you're able to pinpoint certain things that you did wrong and things you need to change, that's where growth takes place. So, this is kind of what we talked about last week. And the reason why I brought it up is because that's the focus of me these 2 weeks. The reason why I started and I put my emphasis on beginning of second quarter, not because it's just the second quarter, it's because there's always going to be a lull, 1 or 2 weeks, depending on when Easter is, going into the second quarter, and then that time between the beginning of the second quarter and when earnings starts coming out. Now, Easter is different every year. It's a different week. Good Friday is different every year. So these traders that will take that week off, that means spring break is different every year. So traders are going to take these weeks off to be with their family. The professional traders, the smart ones, they're gone. And you see that in the market. Also, you see there's not a whole lot of earnings being reported, not on stocks that really matter. So there's not a whole lot going on. And this is the time where we want to work on our patience and focus on execution. And I knew I was going to need this time based on what happened in October. I knew I was going to need this time to get my head back wrapped around what I need to do to trade small and what the focus needs to be. So let's take a look at what we did last week. And I separated these. I separated the small account results from my swing account results. And then I have, I put them both together because that's where my money comes from. That's where I generate my income from. So it's from both of those accounts. But I'm separating them so that you can see what we're doing and where we're going with the small account. And obviously we've had issues all week. Now the first day I started out was good. And I guess that was, I got a little bit too comfortable. And, Monday and Tuesday wasn't really good. Wednesday, I pretty much just did not treat this like a small account. And in my mind, I was trading my larger account where I give it more room. And, I did a recap on it. And, I covered exactly what I was thinking. I was trying to give it that room. But then when I realized I can't do this, this is a small account, I had to kill it. And ended up taking a bigger loss than I wanted to. Thursday, we kept things in check. Friday was, another okay day. But Thursday was when, we realized what the issues were. What were the problems? What was causing me to not focus on it? And it's because I didn't have my plans written down. And I shared my, how I have my index card laid out and, how I need to fill it out so that I know, okay, my max loss stop is going to be 30 cents. So immediately I need to add 30 cents to my entry price. And I know that, hey, this is not going to go any further. Also, my position size. I went in this other trade too big. There's no reason for me to go in and trade 500 shares right now because that just eats up all my buying power, and I don't want to do that. Plus, it doesn't allow me to give the trade enough room. And one of the biggest mistakes that newer traders make is the fact that they don't allow their trades to work. They have too tight of stops. And I was guilty of that for a long time. And now I realize I have to correct that with position size. If I can only trade 100 shares of a stock and get a 75, 80 cent move, then so be it. I'm developing the skill I need so that when these larger trades come and my buying power has increased, that's going to allow me to take larger share size and allow me to let the trades work a little bit more. I'm going to be ready for it. No, it's all a process. It's all a growing process. And you can't bite off more than you can chew. And that's kind of what I was doing. Even though I know how to trade and I could trade seamlessly in a big account, there's a lot of issues that you're going to deal with in a smaller account. And the reason why I'm trading in a smaller account so that you can see me deal with these issues. And you can see me overcome them? How do I overcome them? You know, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? And that's why I feel this is very important. So for the week, you know, we only lost 184.82. That's not bad, considering how poorly I traded. That I don't feel, you know, losing $182 on the first week is going to be too bad. So swing account results. You know, Wednesday and Thursday I didn't take any trades. That was just a product of the market. Monday was good. Tuesday was okay. Friday, when I looked at this trade on Friday, I was up at one point over $1,600. But it just ran. This trade completely ran away from me. And then eventually at the end of the day, it came back. And unfortunately, I did not take a snapshot of the charts or anything. You know, I just ran out. But you guys in chat, if you were there at the end of the day, you saw me take this off. And you also saw me take it off too early. Because this was an all-day hold. It should have stayed on until the end of the day. And this is why I don't like watching these. When people ask me questions about them, I mean, I don't mean to be mean or vague. I don't want to look at it because it's not supposed to be managed all day long. It's not supposed to be micromanaged. And had I done it and did it the way it was supposed to, I would have made the money I was supposed to make on this. But, you know, I made that mistake. I brought it up. I started looking at it, and you guys saw exactly what I did and shortchanged myself. But 33.70 for the week, not bad, considering the week that we had, and considering I missed 2 days. So swing results. Okay, like today I didn't take a trade in it at all. And I should have, but I was just out of sync this morning. Just got overly frustrated. And then I just started, you know, I was like, this is the last day that my son's going to be home. You know, so let's finish up this lesson and send him back to school off in style. So that's kind of where the day ended up. But we'll look at that in a minute. So overall, this is what I made this week. You know, obviously these are the days I didn't make anything in the swing trade account. And both of these red numbers came from the day trading. So for the week, still made $3 grand. That's not bad. I'll take it. You know, this week, and if I can make $3 grand this week, this would be an incredible victory. Not a moral victory, a real victory for me. So I'd be highly motivated if I could do the same thing this week. But we'll see. The day started out pretty slow. So that was my week. Everything's back to normal. You know, I got that excitement of the Masters out, and you know, we're ready to hit the grindstone. Or I can't even think now. You know the saying that I mean. So TNDX, this was the I didn't actually put this on my watch list because it didn't hit and really start looking good until right before the open. And so this one started looking good, and this is where I put my focus. Now, my main concern on this trade was this 35-30 pivot. And I said it like 10 times. You probably got sick of me saying it in chat. This was a solid pivot here. You can see where we rejected here. Here we based off of this. Here we pulled back and kind of bounced off of it. So I figured this was going to be a very solid pivot. This was going to cause some issues today. But if once we got through it, we should make a pretty decent run down to, you know, the 34s. Right here was around 34.20. you know, which would have been another solid pivot here. But this was my main focus. So at the open, instead of me waiting for this to establish below, I jumped in as soon as we moved through it. And this is something that you just don't do in a small account. When you have a solid pivot like this wasn't even the opening range low. This was the opening range low down here, all the way near the 34.20 target that I had for this trade. But, you know, I jumped in on the move down, and as soon as I got in, it's like my order acted as support. My little 200 share order acted as support. And that's what I got in with 200 shares. And we bounced up. I had to stop out. And you can see I couldn't hold through this. You know, it had been done for me to hold through it. So I did. I stuck to my plan, which I was proud of. And stopped out when I was supposed to stop out. So then we get back in. I waited and waited. I didn't want to short it here on this rejection. Now all of the stocks that are failing here are bouncing back to the 20 and then starting to sell off. The 20 has become the main moving average for day traders right now. It's pretty much as serious as the VWAP was a year and a half ago. And this is what's happening to a lot of stocks. But I couldn't short it here because the 9 was here and then the VWAP was here. So I waited until we got below VWAP. I waited until this candle closed below VWAP. And then this candle made a lower low relative to VWAP. Now I know we bounced a little bit, and you're going to get this type of price movement. But I waited until this closed and then we got made the low. The same thing I should have done here. Waited for this candle to close and then the next candle to make a lower low. That would have triggered an entry. So this is the same thing I did Friday on the first stock out of the gate. I did not wait for confirmation, and you have to wait because I don't have enough room to give it. I don't. So now in this trade, I got in 300 shares. I was able to go in an extra 100 shares because if you look at the range of the candles leading up to this, the range had narrowed. So the amount of room I needed to give the trade, you know, got smaller, which allowed me to take a larger position size and still keep my risk management in place. And I was looking for the move back down to this 35.30. It didn't quite get there. And I was very disappointed, and I ended up killing it because we just kind of sat there for too long, which ended up not being the right thing to do. But you know, it's what I did, and by then mentally I was just checked out. I was upset, kind of upset at myself for doing this, and you know, I felt pretty good about this, but then I got mad at the stock because it didn't come down to this pivot. And whenever you get mad at the stock, that's when you need to check out. So I ended up going to lunch. I was still watching this, but I wasn't going to do anything else with it. You know, I knew that mentally I was done. So I was typing a little bit while I was at lunch. You know, I've got OnStar, so I got Wi-Fi. I can, you know, I got my computer in the car. I could sit there and type if I'm in a drive-through, or if I'm in a place, I'm going to go in a place that has Wi-Fi so I can be connected. But you got to get away from your platform. You got to get away from your desk. You know, I've got 9 9 screens here looking at me. I just got to get away from them. And just focusing on one is is refreshing. All right, so here's what happened to this stock the rest of the day. Okay, we got, here's the open. Here's where we couldn't get back in. And if you can see, when I got out of it, it turned around and made the move down to this level. It bounced, rejected off VWAP again, and continued its march down. Once it lost 35.30, like I said, this is what I said all the way back here. Once we lost 35.30, it was going to take off. But I was done. I wasn't watching it anymore. I had completely got off of this, and I was working with my son. And you'll see he made a monster trade today. Just like he did yet. He made $200 and some on Friday and $200 and some today. And I can't make a damn thing. So go figure. So minus 57.23 today. Kept it controlled. I should never have taken this loss. And like I said, this is a broken record from last week. I shouldn't have taken a loss. I shouldn't have taken a loss. Every day I started out in the hole because I took a loss I shouldn't have, because I got in before the move was confirmed. So, this is the last day. It's not going to happen again. I'm not doing it anymore. I got my fingers crossed while I'm saying it too. But I'm not doing it anymore. So missed this. This was a solid move I was looking for. I didn't get to 34.20 like I wanted it to. But it did kind of approach this 34.30. But this would have been a nice move. It would have been a nice trade here. Alright, so, and this is exactly what happened on Friday. Okay, on Friday, we traded INCY. And where is... Okay, here it is right here. Okay, INCY. This is from Friday. I did get a snip of it. But this was over early on Friday. Okay, I got in here. Here's the opening range low. I didn't wait for it to open and confirm lower. I would have been stopped out of this trade anyway, because I would have gotten in on this candle as it broke the low. Okay, so I knew I would have gotten stopped out here. And then I turned around and, got in here looking for the rejection. I didn't wait for the next candle. I should have gotten in this candle. If it made a lower low, then get in. This is a loss that I shouldn't have taken, this second trade. But you can see what happened. Okay, here is the open right here. This is the mess I got into. And then this trade eventually pulled all the way back in. Now, I got in this early for an all-day hold. And you see, I held through all of this because I wasn't watching it. It never did hit my stop to take me out, my max loss stop. And it did sell off all the way back to this level at the close. But I got in, up in here somewhere. I can't remember the exact price. But I took it off back up in here. I never did let it finish. And I gave up all that profit. It was sad. Very sad. But I'm not going to do these things anymore. I'm going to make sure that I allow myself to wait. And even if I get stopped out like I did on this one, the next entry, if I take it, is going to have to be the same thing. It's going to have to be. Alright, so here's my son's trade today, EXEL. And I kind of talked you guys through what I look for on these as well while we were working through this. Now, here's the experiment that I did last week. And this is what I shared in the class to kind of prove how, you know, the execution is simple. You know, if you focus on the right things. All I did was write down on a card what to look for. He didn't know what a 9 moving average is, what a VWAP, didn't know what any of these lines meant. The only thing I had on this, and the only thing I explained to him, is that if it pulls up and runs into one of these lines and it starts to go the other way, then you sell it. You sell short. And once it hits your target, or it starts to turn and go the other way, you take it off. And then you reset. If it turns around and it gets lower than the previous candle, you get in it. And it was simple instructions. And that's all this was. Simple instructions. Read the card, do what it says. And that's what I did. That's how I got to where I was. I wrote down what I wanted to do on the card, and when the bell rung, I followed what I wrote down. I didn't think. I followed what I had. I didn't outthink myself. I didn't sit here and try to debate on whether this is right or wrong. Simple. When it rejects this, you get in. If it goes above it, you get out. It was just that simple. And if a 15-year-old high school student can do this without not knowing anything about trading, just following a process, following a strategy, we all can do it. You know, we all can. And I firmly, 100% honestly believe we overcomplicate things. We tend to overcomplicate things because we think things can't be that easy, when it actually is just that easy. You get your education, you learn your strategies, you learn how to trade them, you learn how to make a trade plan to trade those strategies, and all you do is execute that trade plan. If you have a viable trade plan, when you execute it, it's going to work. You're going to take losses. Like the INCY trade, you know, had I waited for it to set up, I would have taken a loss on it. But I'd have many more winning trades. So we're able to accept loss better too. You know, we can accept loss a lot better as well. You know, once we simplify things, because we'll know it's a part of the game. But that's going to be my focus, you know, going forward. We're going to continue to work on this. We're really going to spend some time in the small account program on these, on these type things, because it's really simple. And the hard part is we get in the way. We get in our own way, and we make everything difficult, and we take things personally, and for lack of a better term, we screw it up. So I'm going to be working to not screw it up so bad, is what it boils down to. So you guys have a great night, great evening, and we will see you guys back at it tomorrow. We're going to be looking for, you know, like I said, it's going to be a week and a half until the market really gets back. But I can't wait for these earnings. You know, that's why I like trading earnings. I love those catalysts, because they more than likely do they have the follow through. All right, guys, we'll see you.